morning sun cast long shadows across the Seoul Communications Complex as Dr. Kim Tae-young arrived for what he thought would be another routine day. The massive satellite dishes outside hummed quietly, constantly scanning the depths of space for any sign of intelligent life. For 23 years, they had found nothing but cosmic silence. Tae-young grabbed his coffee and settled into his chair, checking the overnight data logs. His colleague, Dr. Park Ji-soo, was already at her station, frowning at her screens with unusual intensity. "Tae-young, you need to see this," she called out. Her voice tight with excitement and fear. He rolled his chair over to her workstation. The displays showed wave patterns unlike anything in their databases. The signal was clearly artificial, structured, and most impossibly, it was directed specifically at Earth. "When did this come in?" Tae-young asked, his hands already moving across the keyboard to begin analysis. 3 hours ago. The translation software has been working on it since then. The language structure is completely alien, but the mathematical constants are universal. They're using prime numbers and physical constants as a bridge. The translation appeared on screen line by line. Both scientists read in stunned silence. "People of Earth, we are the Cathara Coalition. Our 7 worlds die in eternal darkness. An ancient weapon called the Void Shroud blocks our suns. We have tried everything. We've detected your energy signatures across space. Please, we ask for light. Help us before our civilizations freeze to death." Tae-young's coffee cup slipped from his fingers, shattering on the floor. "This is real," he whispered. "This is actually happening." Within minutes, emergency protocols activated. Commander Lee Min-ho, head of Global Space Defense, arrived at the facility with a team of military analysts. The room filled with tension as officials studied the alien message. "How do we know this isn't some kind of trick?" Commander Lee asked, his military training making him suspicious of the unexpected contact. Dr. Ji-soo pulled up additional data. The signal's origin point is 47 light-years away. The energy required to send this message is enormous. No Earth technology could fake something like this. Also, look at this. She displayed a star chart showing energy signatures detected by their deep space monitors over the past 5 years. We've been seeing unusual energy patterns from that region. Whatever's happening there, it's been going on for a long time. The message was forwarded to every major government on Earth. Presidents, prime ministers, and world leaders found themselves facing humanity's first confirmed contact with alien intelligence. The aliens weren't coming to invade or trade. They were dying and asking for help. President Choi Yo-jin called an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council. The massive auditorium in Geneva filled with representatives from every nation. The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone present. Admiral Song Hyun-woo stood at the podium, his uniform crisped despite the early hour. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer alone in the universe. The Cathara Coalition has reached out to us in their darkest hour. They face extinction from an ancient weapon that has plunged their worlds into eternal night." The assembled leaders murmured among themselves. Some seemed excited, others fearful, many simply overwhelmed by the magnitude of the situation. "Why us?" asked the German Chancellor. "They say their technology is more advanced than ours. What could we possibly offer them?" Dr. Lim Soyeon, Earth's leading expert on stellar physics, rose to answer. "Our deep space energy signatures are unusual compared to other civilizations they might have encountered. While most advanced species focus on efficient, elegant solutions, humanity has always favored raw power. Our fusion reactors and plasma generation systems operate on principles they probably consider primitive." She clicked to a presentation showing Earth's energy output compared to theoretical alien civilizations. "We don't just build nuclear reactors. We build them as large and powerful as possible. We don't just create plasma. We create plasma hot enough to melt through planetary crust. What they're seeing from space is a species that has weaponized the very forces that power stars." The French president leaned forward. "Are you saying they want our weapons?" "No," Dr. Soyeon replied. "They want our approach to energy. They've been trying to delicately remove this void shroud for 3 centuries. They're asking us because They've detected that we don't do anything delicately. The debate continued for 18 hours. Representatives argued about the risks of revealing Earth's location, the possibility of alien deception, and the moral obligation to help dying civilizations. Some worried about the military implications of sharing human technology, but as the hours passed, one fact became clear to everyone in the room. 7 worlds full of intelligent beings were slowly freezing to death. Children who had never seen sunlight were dying in the cold. Entire civilizations were facing extinction from an ancient weapon they couldn't overcome. The final vote was unanimous. Every nation on Earth agreed to help the Cathara coalition. Humanity would venture into space not as conquerors or explorers, but as rescuers. They would take their most powerful weapons and use them to bring light back to dying worlds. As the session ended, Dr. Tae-young stood in the Seoul facility, watching the stars through the window. Somewhere out there, alien beings were waiting for humanity's response. They had asked for light, and Earth would give them fire. The shipyards above Earth had never seen activity like this before. For 6 months, every major industrial facility on the planet worked around the clock. What had started as a humanitarian mission quickly became the largest military mobilization in human history. Captain Bae Seung-min stood on the bridge of the Seoul's fire watching the final preparations. Through the massive viewport, his ship was enormous, stretching nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern. But it wasn't built for exploration or diplomacy. Every system had been designed around a single purpose, generating and directing massive amounts of destructive energy. Captain, the fusion cores are running at 90% efficiency, reported his chief engineer, Nam Soo-yoon. The young man looked exhausted from months of non-stop work. We've never pushed the reactors this hard before. The energy output is beyond anything we've tested. Soon-min nodded, studying the technical readouts. The Seoul's fire alone carried enough firepower to level a small moon. The 11 other ships in his fleet were equally armed. How do our weapons compare to what the Cathara described? Nam pulled up comparison charts on his tablet. Sir, there. Most advanced energy weapon generates about 0.3 terawatts of power. It's incredibly precise and efficient. Our smallest plasma cannon produces 15 terawatts, and we have 47 of them on this ship alone. The difference was staggering. While the Cathara had spent centuries perfecting elegant surgical solutions, humanity had simply built bigger guns. Much bigger guns. Down in the ship's medical bay, Dr. Kim Min-ji was reviewing the biological data the Cathara had sent, along with their plea for help. As the fleet's xenobiologist, she needed to understand the aliens they were trying to save. What she found worried her. The Cathara were crystalline beings who had evolved on worlds with stable, gentle energy sources. Their entire society was built around harmony and balance. They lived for thousands of years, made decisions slowly, and had never experienced anything like warfare. The ancient weapon that threatened them was the first violence their species had encountered in recorded history. Dr. Mingi found Admiral Kang Do-yan in the command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the fleet's formation. The Admiral was a veteran of Earth's last major conflict, a man who understood the cost of war. Admiral, I need to discuss the Cathara with you, she said, setting down her research tablets. What about them, Doctor? They're nothing like us. They've never built weapons, never fought wars, never even raised their voices in anger. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's all focused on creation and preservation. They don't understand destruction. Admiral Kong studied the alien biology reports. You're worried they won't understand our methods, worried they'll be terrified of us. When they asked for help, they were probably expecting something gentle and precise. What we're bringing them is the opposite of everything they believe in. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Doctor, 7 worlds are dying. Billions of innocent beings are freezing to death in the dark. If our methods scare them, that's unfortunate. But if our methods save them, that's what matters. In the engineering sections, teams worked frantically to prepare the plasma generation systems. Technician Yu Guan was calibrating the targeting computers. When she noticed something in the alien technical specifications, Engineer Nam, she called out. Look at this power consumption data from the Cathara ships. Looked over her shoulder at the numbers. Their entire fleet uses less energy than one of our reactors produces in an hour. Should we tell them? How powerful our weapons are. Nam shook his head. They'll figure it out when they see what we can do. Besides, they asked for help with an impossible problem. They must understand that impossible problems require extreme solutions. The truth was more complicated than that. The Cathara had spent 300 years trying to remove the void shroud using careful, measured approaches. They had built massive focusing arrays and precision energy tools. Every attempt had failed because they were trying to solve a problem. Of overwhelming force with delicate techniques, humanity's approach was different. If something was blocking their sun, they would build weapons powerful enough to destroy it completely. If those weapons were dangerous, they would build better safety systems. If those safety systems failed, they would build everything stronger. It was a philosophy that had driven human technology for centuries. 3 weeks after the final preparations were complete, the fleet departed Earth's solar system. 12 ships carrying humanity's most advanced weapons technology headed into the unknown. Behind them, Earth's factories continued working, building more ships and more weapons. The departure was broadcast across the world. People gathered in cities to watch the ships disappear into the darkness between stars. Children asked their parents if the brave humans would save the alien worlds. Adults worried about what would happen when their powerful weapons were revealed to the galaxy. Captain Sung-men stood on his bridge as Earth faded behind them. His communications officer, Lieutenant Park Sun-ho, monitored the subspace channels for any messages from the Cathara worlds. Any word from them, Lieutenant? Yes, sir. They're sending coordinates and tactical data about the Void Shroud. They seem very grateful that we're coming to help, Sung-min nodded. They won't be grateful for long, not when they see what we're capable of. The Soul's Fire and her escort vessels traveled through the void, carrying humanity's promise to bring light back to dying worlds. But they also carried something else. The revelation that Earth's species had turned war into an art form. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Cathara system. Captain Bae Sung-men stood on the bridge of the Soul's Fire, staring at the view screen in shock. Nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. Where a star should have been burning bright, there was only darkness. The void shroud wrapped around the sun like a living thing, pulsing with dark energy that seemed to swallow light itself. The entire system was frozen, dead, trapped in eternal night. Sensors are picking up the Cathara fleet, reported Navigation Officer Lee Yemin. They're holding position about 5 million kilometers from the shroud. Temperature readings from the planets. Captain Bay asked. Negative 200 degrees Celsius on the surface of the inhabited world. How anything survives down there is beyond me. The Cathara ships were unlike anything the humans had ever seen. They were beautiful, crystalline vessels that seemed to be grown rather than built. They moved with graceful precision, their hulls reflecting the faint light from distant stars. But they were tiny compared to the human warships. Within an hour, a shuttle arrived from the Cathara flagship. Ambassador Veltar stepped aboard the Soul's Fire, his crystalline body shimmering with inner light. He was tall and elegant, with features that looked carved from living diamond. When he spoke, his voice was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Captain Bae Sung-min, Veltar said through his translation device, "We are grateful beyond words for your arrival.
Ow!
Our children have never seen natural light. Our cities survive on artificial heat, but we are slowly dying." Captain Bay tried to hide his surprise at the alien's appearance. "Ambassador, we're here to help. But I need to explain something about our methods." "Of course," Veltar replied. "We have prepared our most advanced energy-focusing arrays to assist your gentle restoration process. Our scientists believe that, combining your power sources with our precision technology will allow us to carefully remove the shroud without damaging the star beneath." Lieutenant Colonel Han Wujin, the ship's weapons officer, stepped forward. "Ambassador, I think there might be a misunderstanding. Our approach is ... less gentle than you might expect." Veltar's crystalline features showed confusion. "Less gentle? I do not understand. The shroud has resisted our efforts for 3 centuries. Surely removing it requires the most delicate touch." Captain Bay exchanged glances with his senior officers. Ambassador, we're not here to delicately remove anything. We're here to destroy it. Destroy? Veltar's voice rose in pitch. But the star ... if you damage the star. We won't damage the star, Captain Bay assured him. But we are going to completely eliminate the shroud. You might want to move your ships to a safer distance. The Cathara fleet retreated to what they considered a safe observation point, 10 million kilometers away. Ambassador Veltar remained aboard the human flagship, though his crystalline body now pulsed with nervous energy. Dr. Park Sun-woo, the mission's chief engineer, began the startup. Sequence in the ship's weapon control center. Banks of monitors showed the massive fusion reactors coming online, their energy output climbing steadily. Reactor 1 at full power, she reported. Reactor 2 at full power. All plasma generation systems are active. The other 11 ships in the human fleet moved into formation. Each vessel began charging its weapon systems, their hulls glowing with barely contained energy. The space around them flickered with electrical discharge. Ambassador, Captain Bay said gently, you might want to activate your ship's protective shields. Veltar looked confused. Protective shields? But we are so far from the target, ... Trust me on this one. The targeting computers locked onto the void shroud. The ancient weapon pulsed with dark energy, completely unaware of what was about to happen. For 300 years it had easily absorbed every gentle attempt to remove it. The Cathara had tried precision beams, careful energy manipulation, even direct contact with specialized tools. Nothing had worked. All ships report ready, announced. Communications Officer Kim Hanna, plasma cannons charged to full power. Dr. Park Sun-woo looked at Captain Bay. Sir, once we fire, there's no going back. The energy release will be visible from the next star system. Do it. The first shot came from the Soul's Fire. A beam of pure energy, brighter than lightning, and hotter than the surface of a star, lanced across space. It struck the void shroud with the force of an exploding planet. The ancient weapon didn't just crack. It didn't slowly dissolve. It evaporated instantly in a brilliant explosion of light. That lit up the entire system. The 11 other human ships fired simultaneously, their combined energy output turning the dark shroud into superheated plasma. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. Colors that had no names danced across space as the shroud was completely destroyed. And then, for the first time in 3 centuries, natural sunlight burst free from the liberated star. Through the communication channel, the humans could hear the Kithra's stunned silence. Then, as the warm light reached their frozen world, they began to weep. The sound was like crystal bells ringing in harmony, a sound of pure joy and relief. By the ancestors, Ambassador Veltar whispered, his voice filled with awe and terror. What have we asked you to become? Captain Bay watched the Cathara homeworld slowly begin to warm in the returning sunlight. We became whatever we needed to become to save your people. But deep down, he knew the ambassador was right to be afraid. Humanity had just casually destroyed a weapon that had resisted alien technology for 3 centuries. They had done it in less than 5 minutes. The communications center on Earth buzzed with activity as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Dr. Lee Jae-in sat at his desk, surrounded by screens showing incoming transmissions from dozens of alien civilizations. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he was too shocked to notice. This can't be right, he muttered, checking the translation software again. The messages were clear, but their content was disturbing. His assistant, Dr. Yoon Myung, looked up from her own workstation. What are you seeing, Jae-in? Fear, he replied simply. Pure absolute fear. Within 2 weeks, Captain Bay's fleet had liberated 3 Cathara systems. Each operation had been faster than the last. The first shroud had taken 5 minutes to destroy. The second had taken 3 minutes. The third had been completely eliminated. In under 2 minutes as the human crews became more efficient. But the galaxy was watching. What they saw terrified them. Dr. Lee pulled up a translation from the Zephyrian Empire, one of the most powerful civilizations in the local galactic cluster. They're calling us the Starburners, he told his team. Listen to this. The humans do not remove the shrouds. They annihilate them. Their weapons burn with the fury of dying stars. What manner of beings have we discovered? More messages. appeared on his screen. The Crystalline Collective, a peaceful trading federation, had sent an urgent plea. We demand the humans stop their destructive actions immediately. Their weapons threaten the stability of local space. The Void Hunters, a species known for their advanced military technology, had sent a single line. We underestimated them. We all underestimated them. President Choi Yojin called an emergency meeting of the Earth Council. The same auditorium that had unanimously agreed to help the Cathara, now filled with nervous representatives and worried faces. Are we being too aggressive? President Choi asked, reviewing the alien communications. Some of these species seem genuinely frightened of us. Admiral Song Hoonwoo stood at the podium, his expression grim. Ma'am, we're using 0.02% of our total military capacity. To us, this is a humanitarian mission. We're using our smallest, most precise weapons to avoid any collateral damage. But to them, he activated a holographic display showing the relative power levels. Their most advanced battleships carry weapons that generate maybe 10 terawatts of energy. Our rescue ships are carrying weapons that generate 15,000 terawatts. From their perspective, we're casually deploying planet-killing weapons to solve what they consider an impossible problem. The German Chancellor leaned forward. But we're saving lives. The Cathara are grateful for our help. Yes, but look at the bigger picture, Admiral Song replied. We've just demonstrated that humanity can destroy ancient weapons that have resisted alien technology for centuries. And we're doing it effortlessly. Some species are probably wondering what would happen if we decided they were a threat. Meanwhile, at the fourth Cathara system, the liberation had attracted unwanted attention. Engineer Kim Jung-woo was in the weapons control room, making final adjustments to the plasma array systems. The fourth shroud was the largest they had encountered, wrapped around a massive blue giant star. Captain, we have visitors. Kim reported over the communication system. Captain Bay studied the sensor readings on his bridge. 17 ships from different alien civilizations had positioned themselves at the edge of the system. They were far enough away to be safe, but close enough to observe everything. 17 different species, Navigation Officer Lee Yemen reported. I'm reading Zephyrian battlecruisers, crystalline research vessels, even some ships I don't recognize. They're all keeping their distance, but their sensors are locked onto us. Lieutenant Colonel Han Wujin, the weapons officer, looked uncomfortable. Sir, they're not here to help. They're here to measure us, to figure out exactly how powerful we are. Captain Bay understood the implications. They're taking notes for their military commanders. Dr. Kim Minji, the xenobiologist, had been monitoring the alien communications. Captain, I'm picking up chatter between the observer ships. They're amazed by our energy output. One of them just calculated that our smallest escort vessel carries more firepower than their entire home fleet. The Cathara ambassador Veltar stood nearby, his crystalline body pulsing with nervous energy. Captain Bay, I am concerned, my people asked. For help, but we may have brought danger to the galaxy. These observers fear you. They should, Captain Bay replied quietly. We're not trying to be threatening, but we are what we are. The targeting sequence began. The fourth shroud was massive, requiring all 12 human ships to fire simultaneously. As the plasma cannons charged, the energy readings spiked to levels that made the observing alien sensors overload. All ships report ready, announced Communications Officer Kim Hanna. Plasma arrays at full power. The combined firepower of the human fleet lanced out across space. The fourth shroud, larger and more complex than the others, stood no chance. It exploded in a chain reaction that lit up 3 neighboring star systems. The explosion was so bright that ships in the next system could see it clearly in the aftermath. As the Cathara homeworld began to warm in returning sunlight, the alien observers transmitted their reports home. The messages were all similar. Humanity possessed weapons that could destroy entire civilizations, and they used them casually to solve problems that other species couldn't even approach. The galaxy had been introduced to a new kind of power. Not the elegant, refined technology of ancient civilizations, but the raw, overwhelming force of a species that had learned to harness the very engines of creation and destruction. And everyone was watching. The 7th and final Void Shroud died on a Thursday morning, Earth time. Captain Bae Sungman watched from the bridge of the Soul's Fire. As the ancient weapon dissolved under the combined firepower of his fleet, this shroud had been the oldest and most powerful, wrapped around a dying red giant star for over 1,000 years. When the darkness finally broke apart, the liberated star blazed with renewed life. 7 star systems, home to billions of Cathara beings, were now free from the eternal night that had threatened to destroy their civilization. Ambassador? Veltar stood beside Captain Bae, his crystalline body shimmering with emotions that humans were still learning to understand. Through the viewport, they watched the first natural sunset on his homeworld in 3 centuries. "We asked for light," Veltar whispered, his voice like wind through crystal chimes. "You gave us the power of creation itself." Captain Bae was quiet. For a long moment, watching the golden light spread across the alien world below, cities that had been dark for generations suddenly blazed with celebration. "We just did what we could with what we had." "What you had," Veltar repeated softly, "was the ability to destroy and create on a scale we never imagined possible." The celebration on the Kithara worlds was unlike anything in their recorded history. Children who had never seen natural light stepped outside for the first time. Ancient songs were sung in languages that had almost been forgotten. Entire generations experienced warmth from a real star, but the galaxy was watching, and not everyone was celebrating. Back on Earth, the consequences of humanity's intervention were becoming clear. Dr. Park Min-seo sat in a conference room deep within the United Nations building, surrounded by star charts and diplomatic reports. The data she was analyzing would reshape humanity's place in the universe. "The political situation is changing rapidly," she told the assembled World Council. 17 species have requested formal diplomatic relations with Earth. That's more. First contact requests than any civilization has ever received. President Choi Yo-jin studied the reports with growing concern. "That sounds positive. What's the problem?" 12 other species have moved their fleets to defensive positions around their home systems. The Galactic Federation has called an emergency session specifically about humanity, and 3 major trading alliances have temporarily suspended all exploration activities in our direction. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Admiral Song Hunwoo pulled up tactical displays showing the movements of alien fleets across the galaxy. "Ma'am, we went out there to help a dying civilization. The galaxy treats us like we're potential conquerors." "But we're not conquerors," protested the Canadian Prime Minister. "We saved them. We asked for nothing in return." Dr. Park Min-seo activated a holographic display showing recorded alien communications. "Listen to what they're saying about us. The Zephyrian Empire calls us the species that burns away impossibility. The Crystalline Collective refers to us as the destroyers of ancient things. The Void Hunters, who are known for their military strength, have classified humanity as a galactic-level threat." "Why?" asked President Choi. "We used minimal force. We were careful not to damage anything except the shrouds." Admiral Song answered grimly, "Because minimal force for us is overwhelming power for them. Asked for light to save their worlds. We gave them fire, the kind of fire that burns away darkness and fear, and the illusion that power comes from elegance." The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the room. Humanity had solved an impossible problem in 3 weeks. They had destroyed ancient weapons that had resisted alien technology for centuries, and they had done it so casually that it looked effortless. "What does this mean for us?" asked the British Prime Minister. Dr. Park Min-seo pulled up a new set of data. "This means we're no longer the newcomers we thought we were. 3 species have already started copying our fusion reactor designs. 5 others are requesting technology exchanges. And at least 2 civilizations are quietly asking if we provide military protection services." The room erupted in surprised voices. The idea of humanity as galactic protectors was something no one had considered. "They're afraid," Admiral Song continued. "But they're also impressed. The Cathara have been broadcasting their gratitude across the galaxy. They're telling everyone that humanity saved them without asking for anything in return. That's creating a very interesting reputation for us. Captain Bay's fleet began its journey home a week later. The 12 human ships departed Cathara's space with full honors, escorted by a parade of grateful alien vessels. But as they traveled through the galaxy, they noticed something different. Other ships gave them wide berths. Space stations requested permission before approaching. Military patrols watched them respectfully from a distance. The galaxy had learned to fear and respect human power. On the final day of their journey, Communications Officer Kim Hanna received a transmission from the Galactic Federation. Captain, it's an invitation. They want to meet with humanity's representatives. They're offering us a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. Captain Bay smiled grimly. Came out here to save dying worlds. Don't die now. They want to make us one of the galaxy's rulers. The Soul's Fire and her escort vessels entered Earth's solar system to find a changed world. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They were no longer the weak newcomers hoping to make friends with advanced aliens. They had become something far more dangerous. The species that solved impossible problems with overwhelming force. The galaxy would never be the same.